Hello Seekers! Be welcome to another gameplay video for Malediction channel, the best channel for Malediction's content. Well, today I'm going to review with you guys a game that I played with Auric against Vorendal. And I gotta say, things went pretty bad pretty quickly, and I almost lost this game on the very beginning. But stay with me, that you're gonna see how the events unfold later. Without further ado, let's get you guys to the game, and well, first of all, we started as every game starts, right? Just rolling the dice, placing the terrain, and choosing our cards. I'm going to jump ahead. I just want to remind you guys that terrain placement is very important. The game starts with a bit of strategy. In this case, since me and my opponent, Time Gnome from the Fractured Husk, we were using the same terrain, things didn't really matter where we placed them because all the map would be covered with Deathshout Mire. But either way, it made a huge difference. Let me jump ahead here. After we placed the terrains, we placed the husks. You can see they were almost across, right? Across the battlefield, so it's easier because any corner has access to the husks. And then we draw the first cards. You can see that I had only 2 units and not very strong units, but the other cards I didn't want to give them up because since I'm playing Auric, I would like to use both my items to have some card advantage. The other 2 cards there offer me an extra attack, and the last one is a unique card that's a very strong one, so I decided to give up one of my extra attacks. That being said, I won and I got the initiative. He chose the corner he wanted to start, and we made the placements. Since I didn't have many options, I asked him to deploy first, because round 1 usually doesn't make that much of difference, but I want to see what he was going for. With all that ambush and playing against Vorendal, that's always something to open your eye, even despite the fact that I had absolutely nothing to do, regardless of what he was going to deploy, right? So he ended up deploying the Vorendal with the item that gives ambush, the cape, the shroud, and the Scout Prowler, right? So he was very offensive on the very beginning of the game, 2 strong units, that cost him 19 echo already, leaving him with only 6 for 2 units, but he was engaging with the relic closest to me. That would be my first pick, right? So I did what I could. I went my 3 units, Auric with the other 2 that I had on my hand, and I did the math wrong, so I was 1 echo short. I gave up the Pharaoh Gauntlets because I didn't think I would manage to make 2 attacks on round 1 with Auric, and the shield was better for me to resist his attacks. So that left me with only 1 echo and the initiative. After I placed my units, I didn't have anyone with shout, so I just placed them on my deployment zone. Since I had more units, I thought it was a good idea if he deployed first, because in my head he was leaving 1 unit behind to to claim the relic and score 10 points, and use the other units to block my deployment and do some damage and being my way to get one of the relics, thus blocking me right completely. So I decided that he could make the first move, make the first activation, and to my surprise, actually not that much of a surprise for this first activation, he decided to move the Scout Prowler and engage with my Vakari's Priest, which was already a mistake of mine, because since I made the second deployment, I could have hidden my Priest better and leave the other 2 units, but mistakes are there to be made, right? He made the charge, and he scored a hit, almost killed my Vakari's Priest, and that was it for his activation. Since Vakari's Priest was engaged, I couldn't activate him first, so I decided to use Cabra Mauler to push the Scout Prowler, so I could activate my Vakari's Priest later. The first was a miss, but the second one I managed my goal, and I pushed the Scout Prowler a little bit, and did a reasonable damage, right? 5 damage from 2 attacks is not a great thing, but it is what it is. Well, for his second activation, I thought he would leave Vorendal for the relic, and to be honest, he almost did. When we were talking during the game, he considered leaving Vorendal there. But then he cast Death's Call, killed my priest, and got a free activation, which he forgot the first minute, but you're gonna see that he used the activation later, since it was a friendly game that was completely okay, right? And then he moved and made an attack against my Cabra Mauler almost killing my Cabramaller on the spot, right? Let's see, he rolling the dice. We were just checking because my Great Shield gives a Shield Wall 1 as well, but he rolled enough just on the dice and left Cabramaller with 3 health only. Well, I had already activated Cabramaller, and then he decided to move his Discord Prowler. He had to do that right after the spell resolved, okay? But like I said, it's a friendly game. It's okay to go back some actions that didn't interfere anything. He was just going to move his Discord Prowler, and that's fine. Well, since I had nothing else I could do, I didn't want to use my spell to make a ranged attack because it was not worth it at that time. I just made 2 attacks against Vorendal with Auric, and that was pretty much it. I am under pressure since round 1 with 2 strong units trying to kill everything I have. And my draws were not that great, right? I draw a Die Hard. That I like that card because it could save me, but now I have 2 items that I can't use because both my units are engaged. Since I have the initiative, he placed a bid, and for now I couldn't bid high enough, to contest it. So I was kind of cornered there. If I used another card, I was pretty much going to just discard a card, and I didn't want to lose any of my resources. But the initiative was quite important, right? So it was a very tough call for me. But since the initiative was important, I decided that I might just try my best and use my other Cabramaller to try to hold the initiative. But was that enough? He got it. Well, but he discarded a Discord Prowler, which is a very strong unit, right? The initiative was his. I had nothing to deploy. Although I had 5 mastery, I wanted to keep 3 for Die Hard and maybe 2 for Rebounding Throw that I could make another attack against Vorendal or whatever, right? I just couldn't spend anything. Not that I could, because I didn't have any other units. But then, okay, he started and he made a hit against my Auric, and he had Ambush. So Vorendal's hit was 7 damage. I managed to hit him back, right? But he's doing Onslaught in the way, so a miss, it was 4 damage. Very strong. And his last attack for the 3, it was also a hit. For 13, yeah. No, it was a miss actually. So I was left with 2 HP. So even with 2 misses, he almost killed my Auric right on the spot. And then he used the spell to kill Auric, but I had Die Hard that I managed to save him, which was of major importance because since he played the damage dealing spell, he also could make an attack with his Discord Prowler, right? And my Cabramaller. I could have expand my Great Shield to prevent 2 damage, but it was just useless, right? 2 damage against the 19 he gave me wouldn't make anything. So he decided just to make the attack against my Cabramaller, and regardless if it was a hit or miss, since it wasn't a 1, he killed my Cabramaller, and I was left with only Auric with 1 HP against both Vorendal and the Discord Prowler. So I did what I could, and I just struck twice his Vorendal, and I managed to hit and miss, and then I destroyed my item to do little damage to his Vorendal, but he had Price of Devotion. He decided to kill his Discord Prowler instead. The round ended with both our generals there, almost dead, but that's it, and that was already round 2. I didn't have any items to destroy to make another attack, so we move on, right? Since this was the beginning of round 3, it was very important for me to try to keep my Auric alive or to have something I could use to protect my general. So I went high for my bid. I didn't want to lose that Archer. I wanted to deploy him, grab the relic in a safe distance where I could shoot Vorendal, but I had to try. At least he defended, but he used Sestinar, which was very good for me actually, because I really wanted to deploy my Troll, my Body Breaker, because he's a very strong unit, and I believe he could end Vorendal easier than my Archer could. That being said, I deployed my Troll, of course engaged with Vorendal, because I could sustain 2 hits and a miss maybe from Vorendal with my 18 HP, and I would still have Auric there, so in my head he would have to spend 1 attack to kill Auric and only other 2 against the Troll. It would be okay, but he had another forced march. He managed to kill Auric before I could activate him, and used Onslaught to make the 3 attacks against my troll. And since he has ambush, he could have killed. But he rolled a hit on the first one and a 1 on the second roll, so it was all I needed. The third roll was a hit as well, so 2 hits and a 1. If it was a graze instead of 1, my troll would have died and I would be in very bad sheets. But not the case. I activated, regenerate my troll, and make 2 swings against Vorendal. 1 hit and the other one wasn't a 1, so it doesn't really matter. It was enough to kill Vorendal, and actually that made the game just get even, right? Since Vorendal had the cloak, the Shadow Shroud, both of us ended round 3 with 19 mastery. Tied. Nobody had any relics, not anything else, just the mastery. Well, I had a troll, so I was in advantage for the beginning of round 4, where the game only began, right? Since he had the initiative, he decided to deploy first, just because it wasn't going to make a huge difference right now. He deployed the Flash Reaper, a Deadeye Asher, and a Dead Arms, and I deployed 2 Vakari's Priest. And at this point, I only deployed the 2 Vakari's Priest because I knew he had not enough echo to cast Entrap the Mind. He had only 1 echo left, and if he had more, if he had enough to cast Entrap the Mind, he could activate the troll, kill another priest. I would have placed them a little bit further, in a way that I would only get 1 attack. But that was not the case. I had 0 echo left, he had only 1. It was going to be on the units. So I was free to pray with my priest and heal my troll. I did that with both priests, and he only moved his units because, to be honest, there wasn't anything else we could do. So I moved with both my priests. I healed and prayed with both my priests, so I got 4 echo, and I moved my troll to grab a relic. He grabbed 1 with his Dead Arms. It was the Boots of Celerity, and I got Ranged and Retribution for the troll. Alright? That was the end of round 4. We draw another card, we got more echo, and now I had 14 echo. Things start to speed up very fast when we move on to later rounds, right? So by now I was comfortable already, because I had damage dealing spells, I had a good unit that I could deploy from far away, I could deploy my Archer that has ambush, so near the relic, and strike his units. I was quite comfortable because I thought he wouldn't manage to kill any of my units on the spot, right? So I decided to activate, to try to steal initiative, so I could activate first. Didn't work. At this point, I used an item because the game was already too far away, and I didn't think I would manage to have many opportunities to use my gauntlets, especially because the only melee unit I have is the troll, and he already has rend. Didn't make any sense for me. With the initiative, he decided to make his deployment first and placed another Deadeye Asher. It was away from the husk, so I was safe. So my turn, I deployed my only unit, which was the Far Side Ambusher, which is a great unit because he has ambush and pinpoint, so I could strike his his units. So my initial plan was to activate my Asher, cast Cataclysmic Blast, and kill both his archers. That was my initial plan, alright? But plans do not survive reality, right? He had the first activation, and let me show you guys. He has the first activation, and he just moved his Dead Arms to be engaged with my Asher. Well, that kinda was a pain in my ass because it screwed my plan. It wasn't going to work that well. So I tried to change. I could still make a ranged attacks with my Archer, provoking retaliation from his Dead Arms. I gotta say that I considered that. It appeared to be a very good move either way. I was going to get 2 attacks, but maybe kill his other 2 units. But since I didn't have to rush for it, I wanted to see if he was going to move his Flash Reaper a little bit closer, in a way that I could, get Dead Arms and a few more Archers. But in the end, I didn't think it was going to work. I decided just to activate my troll and prevent his archers to attack. But the second I activate my troll, he cast Lethargy, so I only had 1 HP, 1 AP to activate. I couldn't charge, I wasn't going to reach the archers, so I just spent my activation and moved my troll still inside Deathshroud Mire, so he would be protected. At this point, I knew neither of his archers would do anything to me this round. Actually, not even the archers, not even Flash Reaper. So I didn't want to hurt anything. I let him make his movement to protect his archers, which he made very well in a way that if before the archers were all together, I could get 3 units with my Cataclysmic Blast. Now I couldn't do that, so it would have been better for me if I had activated my archer first. So I tried to compensate for it right now, and I activated the archer, and I made a hit for his that I archer, and it was a hit for 4 damage. His retaliation was just 1 because it's a grace, so no big deal. 4 damage there, and then I spent my Cataclysmic to do 5 damage to the archer and to Flash Reaper. Since I wasn't going to get the other archer right now, well, what can I say, right? I should have done that before, like I wanted to. Decisions, that's life. So I just killed the archer that wasn't going to be activated. Actually, he just persisted, so I had to spend my second attack for his archer and then scoring 3 mastery and get another retaliation attack from his Dead at Arms. The good thing is Dead at Arms doesn't have a very high damage, so it was another grace, another 1 damage, and I was fine with that. Right now he only had Flash Reaper, and all he could do was move him because he couldn't see any of my units to charge, and I was still going to have my 2 Vakari's Priests. The initial idea was to pray and move with both of them, but since he was getting 1 relic, I thought it was smarter for me if I prevented him from doing that, because he could, for example, get the sight and drop Vorendal with the sight for reinforcement, which would have been very bad for me. So he only moved his Flash Reaper. I prayed with one of my priests and make a movement, and I double move with my other priest to contest the relic over there. Then I bid for initiative. He gave it to me. He didn't want to contest it, which was good. And now we are moving to round 6. So I dropped Auric with ambush to be nearby his archer. That's important because that archer cannot make melee attacks. So I was there preventing him from calling for reinforcements, and he couldn't hit me in melee. So I was very well protected. For his reinforcement, he got Vorendal as foretold, right? If he had gotten that relic, he would have gotten Vorendal with the relic, which was very bad for me if I didn't make the initiative, right? And he dropped Vorendal nearby my troll. As we saw before, he can't kill the troll with just 1 play. 3 hits is 18 damage, even without ambush. So I had to activate first. I activated the troll. I made 1 swing against Vorendal. It was unfortunately a miss. And then I used Thunderous Devastation because I really needed that to be a hit, right? So I could push Vorendal away in a way that he was not going to be able to onslaught me. And it was a hit, which means it was a critical hit due to the spell effects, 8 damage. And I moved Vorendal so he wasn't engaging any of my units. It was very important that I managed that critical hit because it was a lot of damage and the knockback ability. Well, after this, I felt the game was kind of controlled for me. I was afraid all the time for a make spell because it's just too strong. Entrap the Mind wasn't an issue for me right now because I didn't have any units nearby other units that I could hinder, so it wouldn't do that much damage. But Unmake, well, it's dead damage, right? It's a big deal for everyone. So he activated his Flash Reaper and made a move to be engaged with my troll and close enough that if the Flash Reaper died, my priest and Auric would receive damage. He made a swing, it was a miss. I made a counterattack because of my relic. Unfortunately, it was a 1, but before he turns in, he did 2 damage with a spell, Forced March, to make another attack with Flash Reaper. It was another miss, so no harm done, and I got to make another swing, also a miss, but 3 damage are 2 damage, right? I did more damage to Flash Reaper on Flash Reaper's turn that my troll suffered from his attacks. If I had managed to hit both counterattacks, I would still have rendered for another 5 damage. So I was very hopeful, it just didn't happen, right? Well, after his activation, it was my turn again. I probably should have just killed his archer, because then I would have secured that relic, and you can see that I had 32 points already. So if I had activated Auric, killed the Dead Arms, my priest would have gotten the relic, because Flashkeeper had already moved, and the other 2 units, well, they could have managed to get there, but I really wanted Vorendal to die, and I made the wrong call. It was an emotional call, but I don't regret it. I charged Vorendal. That Ayasha didn't get a retaliation because he cannot make melee attacks. So I struck with Auric. It was a hit for 5, and I destroyed my for 6 actually, because I had ambush, and I destroyed the item for the extra damage because 6 was not enough. I needed 7 to kill Vorendal. And once again, he had Price of Devotion. Now he had 2 choices. He could kill Flash Reaper and do damage, area damage, and give me 6 echo, or he could kill Dead at Arms and give me only 3 echo. Since I had 32, I wouldn't win with either of those choices, but since Flash Reaper can do more damage, I don't know what plans he had, he destroyed his unactivated Dead at Arms, which might have been a mistake, because Flash Reaper had already activated, and if he had exploded him, he would do damage to my units, right? But either way, the Husk dropped there, and it was his turn now. He still had Vorendal and the Deadeye Archer, which was another very big mistake of me, because when I moved Auric, I left that Deadeye Archer in a position where he could make his ranged attacks against my Vacar's Priest. We took a while measuring and seeing if the line touched it or not, but as a suggestion from the devs itself, when in doubt, allow the play, right? So it was a very tight one, which means you can make the 2 attacks. He managed to roll both ones as a hit and killed my Vacar's Priest. I should have activated everybody else before Auric, but like I said, it was an emotional call and things happen, but I still was very confident that I could win the game on the next round. So I activated my Farsight Ambusher and just hit Vorendal. It was a miss and another miss, so 4 damage, because Vorendal had not yet activated. That's all I could do, right? And now it was Vorendal's turn. He was going to score just 1 hit. It was not very much of a big deal for me. Well, he could onslaught Auric, but chances were that he would die instead of me, because if he made 2 hits against Auric, Auric would have made 2 strikes against him, due to counterattack, which was a risk he was not willing to take. So he made a decision and just moved with Vorendal. Well, seeing this now, hold on a minute. He was engaged with my Auric because I hit. I should have made another hit. Damn. Well, doesn't matter. He moved with his Vorendal. I didn't make the retaliation with Auric. He made a hit with against my archer, and I just moved with my other Vacar's Priest to prevent him from collecting the relic. And we moved to round 2 of round 7 already. At this point, that retribution over there was going to win me the game. I already knew that, but I had a very solid drop. So I wanted to challenge for initiative, because I wanted to make sure I could drop my Raptor on the battlefield to block his deployments. I didn't win, but he allowed me to deploy first. So I placed my Raptor nearby his archer to do what our Auric should have done and didn't, right? And saved 4 echo, especially to cast Retribution as soon as Vorendal managed to strike a 6 damage hit, which I knew it would happen, because in my head he would just activate Vorendal, onslaught for 3 attacks, make 1 attack against my archer and the other 2 against Auric. So he activated Vorendal, got Regeneration 2, and used Writing Pain, which is a very strong spell. He used that on Auric, so if he managed to make 3 strikes, each strike would be 8 damage. So it would have been enough to kill Auric. The first one was a miss, but miss is a 5 damage still. The second one, it was already a hit, and that was all I needed. So I took 8 damage, spent 3 echo, used the Retribution, so Vorendal took 8 damage as well, and I got to make an attack for counterattack. It was a hit, and I managed to kill Vorendal during his activation before he made his third attack, and I scored the 10 master I needed. At this point, all I needed was that he didn't manage to kill my troll. because it was the only relic I had. My far side ambusher was already going to get another relic for me, so even if he killed my troll, I would be in very comfortable sheets, and I still had my Vakari's Priest to take another relic over there. Even though he had Flash Reaper, he didn't have enough echo to Corpse Explode him, for example. So he would, I don't know, make a charge against Auric and try to explode Flash Reaper, but not going to happen. He tried to score 2 hits against my Troll, which also didn't happen. I managed to counterattack and kill his Flash Reaper. Actually, he made it, the strikes. Flash Reaper didn't die. I activated Troll and killed Flash Reaper. Because first round he had activated Vorendal, right? And then it was my turn, and my Troll killed his Flash Reaper as well, leaving me with 51 Mastery and 2 relics to secure, and he only had the Archer. So the game ended there because there was no way he could prevent me from winning. But the main issue here was, damn, that was a very close game. On round 1, 2, and 3, I almost died many times. If it wasn't that critical raise, my Troll would have died and would have to play another round before we could try to collect units and before I could try to kill Vorendal again. But after that, I should have also used that Cataclysmic Blast as my first activation, but those mistakes didn't cost me the game. I'm pleased with that, and that was one of the hardest games I played so far. We missed one trigger, actually 2 triggers during this game. One that I didn't retaliate when he moved Vorendal, and the second one early game when he used Undeath's Call and killed my Vakari's Priest. He didn't draw a card. One mistake for each side. The game was still beautiful despite the mistakes, right, guys? I hope you have enjoyed this I hope you have enjoyed this gameplay video. It was very fun for us to play, and stay tuned for more gameplays like this. See ya!